Hey kiddo, I down here by the art district here in Lawrence, and it's kind of an old warehouse district that they decided they were gonna revamp and make into something new. And it used to be that a lot of the local college students and artists in the town would come down here and do photography, and they would find corners and old brick buildings that had really nice dimension to them and different colors and different styles, and they would essentially use it as a space to just be creative. And so I thought I would take a trip down here because the city's putting a lot of money into revamping it and trying to bring business down here and allow the artists to thrive. And so I'll give you a little view of what it looks like. This is literally just a small little spot of it, and they just have they call this art emergency, I believe. But some artists just came through and did some fun things like painted the sidewalks, and they just did some abstract things, worked with some clay and made some model designs. At nighttime, it's pretty cool because these things light up and there's lights all around, and they got some kind of crazy looking, I don't even know what they are, like robot kind of creatures. And, I don't, next to a windmill, it looks like this here looks like a punching bag, like an old punching bag or something. I don't know, I might be wrong. But yeah, so I wanted to share this with you and just kind of talk about some things that are coming up that I'm pretty excited about. Um, when these artists are making their art, sometimes we have to really dig deep to find out what maybe their point of view is, or what they're trying to express, or what they're trying to say. And right now, if you just look at it real quick, it can look kind of cool, or some people might go, man, that's not art. That's just looks like, for example, the concrete here with all the paint splashed on it. Someone might go, that's just splashed paint. Anybody can do that. And you're right. Anybody can put a pencil to a paper or a paintbrush to a paper and make it look like anything. You can just, you can literally squiggle lines on a paper, and people try to call it art. But I think the thing about art is that when that paintbrush or that pencil, or when your hands touch the canvas, or when they touch the clay, or whatever you're touching, maybe you're molding something in clay, or maybe you're writing a story or writing a book, or maybe you're bending metal. You pour yourself into that piece of art. You pour yourself into that work, and different people express themselves differently, and it comes out differently. And sometimes it's more abstract. Sometimes the lines are really easy to follow. Um, and so when I was coming out here, God's really opened up a lot of doors for Catherine and I, and I really enjoy writing, and I enjoy sharing my story. And I haven't always thought that my story was worth sharing, and I've gone through a lot of years where I've thought that the mistakes that I've made and the battles that I've had were just too, they're just too much for people to want to listen to or hear, or it was just too gross or too gritty. And God's really walked me and worked me through a lot of different areas in saying that it's okay to share your story. And in time, I think we all get a chance to share our story. And just like this, like I was saying, the artists, they're sharing a piece of their life. They're sharing a piece of their story with us. And, if we'll take the time to look at it, and we'll take the time to dig deep, a lot of times you can find potentially what they're trying to say. And sometimes you find things within their art that you can relate to, and with that you build an audience. And so some of these artists have an audience that follows them, and that can relate to them, and that enjoys what they make. And all of us have a story, Lacey. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult, some of our story might have more time involved in it. You know, a 90-year-old woman compared to a 20-year-old young man. Obviously, there's a difference in time, so there might be more depth to pull from the older we are, but that doesn't mean that there's not a story to share at any age. You have a story to share. Everything that you've gone through, everything that you've went through in your life, you have a story to share, and you have the choice to share it or not. And sharing it or not sharing isn't right or wrong. And so I don't want to come across as saying that we need to share our story or we have to share our story, because some things are private, and some things we just say, I'd rather not share that. You know, it's between me, myself, and I, or that's between me and God, or that's between me and just a couple people, and that's okay. And then sometimes we go, you know what, maybe there's some other people that my story might inspire, or maybe there's some other people that sharing my story might help. And you know, we take time to figure those things out. We take time to find out if the reason why, if we decide to share our story, is why it is. And I think why is a good question whenever we do something. Why are we doing what we're doing? And you know, I think that's something that we should all take time on. And so I wanted to just sit with you here today and say that, you know, we can look at this and we can go, man, this you know, all this paint on this concrete, you know, it just looks like a mess. And you know, these sculptures, and you know, these rusty old sculptures, you know, they really just what are they, you know? And sometimes we feel like that's what our story is going to be like to other people. Sometimes we think, you know, hey, you know, this, what is this? Is it a robot or an alien or a monster, or what is it, you know? And is anybody even going to wanna me to share this with them? Is it even worth sharing? And I would argue to say yes. I would argue to say that that if you're intentional and on purpose, and if we've taken the time to figure out why, then the art that we have inside of us and the story that we have inside of us is worth sharing. And you know, I wanted to share with you that you know, I'm coming to a point in my life where there are events that I've worked through and that God has walked me through, and there's struggles and there's fights and there's victories, and you know, each comes at a different season in life, and you know, a struggle is something that you're feeling come against you, and you might be coming against it. And a fight could be when you make the decision to push through that struggle, and a victory, you know, is a reward that you receive for getting through it. And you know, I just I think that every person on earth has a struggle, a fight, and a victory that they can share. And some of us give up in the struggle. Some of us never make it to the fight. And so there's a lot of victories we can lose out on, but there are struggles, fights, and victories that we can share. And so I just wanted to share with you that you know, I'm excited about the next season that God is bringing me and Catherine through, and myself through, and that you know, that there's a story that I want to share with the world, and it's taken me a while to come to grips with what that might be, and if you know, if it's worth sharing, or if it has value. And you know, God has really shown me that when He gives us a purpose, and He gives us a why, and He gives us a reason, that that it has value to it. And you know, each one of us were born, and we are valuable. Lacey, you are valuable. You are priceless. You know, you can't put a price tag on your story. You can't put a price tag on a human or on somebody. And sometimes we do that, and we say, well, my story is only worth 10 cents. Oh, well, my story is worth 5 cents, or my story is worth $1 million. And you know, our stories are priceless. And I just want you to know that. And I want you to know that I love you. And you know, as always, I want you to know that love's built a way, and love is always building a way. And until next time.